What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day of Philly Sports History for June 8th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Saturday edition of the podcast. It is beautiful out there, so hopefully you're out there doing some yard work or exercising while you're listening. I'm going to be doing a little bit of both later, so get out and enjoy. It is Phillies Mets from London this afternoon. Really looking forward to this game. Just one, because it's different, you don't see it, but I want to see the field because the right and left field wall, they're 330 in each, which is pretty standard. But the center field wall is only 385 feet, but the wall apparently is 16 feet the whole way around. By comparison, I think Citizens Bank Park is just under 13 feet, with the exception of the one spot in like that little funky cutout, which is 19 feet. And then the Green Monster is 37. So not sure if, I guess it's going to take bombs or high bombs to get out. The line drives that the Phillies have been hitting recently likely will bounce off the walls, but it should be fun. I think the over-under is 9 or 10 runs, so I guess they're expecting some offense today. But it's Ranger Suarez versus Sean Manaea. Mets are 16 and a half games back of the Phillies. Typical Mets fashion. Phils have an 8-game lead over the Braves. But again, I'm looking forward to this. Hopefully Ranger's hand is okay. We'll see. They said the swelling's down and he should be good to go. And you would never know from Ranger anyway. He's just going to go out there and have some fun in all business. But looking forward to that today at 1. And again, like I said yesterday, if you're out in London listening to this, I know the Philly GOAT team was out there. If you're out, give me a shout. Let me know where you're hanging, what the field looks like, and what's been going on. But looking forward to that today at 1:10. Let's start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, which of our 4 teams have the best uniforms, like the complete sets? And everybody was split between the Phils and the Eagles with 33%. I get that. I really do. And I think the Kelly green for the Eagles. And I really like the black. A lot of people wrote in about the black uniform tops. Everybody loves the Phil's powder blues, though. So I figured we'd have a little bit of fun. A lot of votes for the Flyers. Not so much for the Sixers. And I think the Sixers, I don't know if it was because of the uniforms or just the way the team finished up last season. But you'll have this. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. There will be another one later in the show. You can get through on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts on anything Philly sports related. 267-495-8531. Quick housekeeping. The nickname tournament is kicking off on June 24th. We'll have the Selection Friday show on June 21st where I'll release the brackets, go over everything, and have a little bit of fun. Started planning for that. I'm really excited for the Selection Friday show. Then you have all weekend to rip me and tell me how bad I suck at picking nicknames and ranking them. But some intriguing matchups. I'm excited to get that started in a couple of weeks. Best way to stay in the loop, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Tell your friends, tell your family. If you're in London, tell the people over there. Would love to have some listeners across the pond. Follow me on social media, Twitter and TikTok, Jimbo_Mont. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. And then I am on Facebook as well. If you want information on the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony, all the information is in the link. Ticket information on the inductees. And if you would like to donate, be a sponsor, whatever you got, you can hit me up for that as well. Yesterday, could not figure out the Stanley Cup. Stanley Cup kicks off tonight. So, I don't know. Edmonton versus the Florida Panthers. So, I guess we should be rooting for Edmonton since Edmonton. I don't know why I always say Edmonton. But Edmonton, since Florida is in the East. But there is no update on Mishkov. A lot of people still talking about Keith Jones's interview the other day where he said they're still rebuilding. They're really sticking to the plan. And really, it's just amazing how screwed up the Flyers organization was before they took over. So still trying to figure out cap space and things like that, just because they inherited a mess. But as we get more info on Mishkov, because that deadline, I want to say they said mid-June, so we're quickly approaching that. So hopefully we'll get some news on that as we go. I mentioned the Philly GOAT team was out in London. Still, obviously, you're not going to be able to get your stuff for the London series. However, I'm telling you, it doubles as 4th of July. Get the Founding Fathers with the Fanatic in the powdered wig. They have I'd scuff Mrs. Met because why not? They have the Raffi shirt from when Bryson Stott was talking about Bohm's nickname. And I keep telling you the shoes. You have to get the shoes. They're so comfortable. Wore them out last night. We went to Keswick Theater for an 80s concert. Was getting compliments on the shoes there. I was wearing the Schmitties. And I'm very impressed with how I'm telling you about how comfortable they are, but those Schmitties, they really kind of just go with everything. And I don't know if it's just the way my wardrobe is or whether they really do, but go check them out. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery for 10%. All right. No real updates on the Sixers. I guess there's some people now saying, well, they're doing projections, like if they don't get anybody this year, what kind of shape will they be in next year? So I feel like the longer this goes, the more convoluted it's going to get. So we just need to be patient because there's like a month now before the next, which I get why the NBA does it for TV, but there's like literally 4 days or 3 days before game 2 of the NBA Finals. So they do like to drag it out. Check out my boys over on the Clashing Conferences podcast. They're doing a great job over there. All things NBA, and it looks like they're going to be kicking off a Major League Baseball edition as well. That's available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. All right, some final Eagles news from minicamp. And everybody's still talking about the Jalen Hurts interview and how he didn't really give Nick Sirianni a ringing endorsement. And I just don't know. Like they asked him about his open-mindedness, about his changing in coaching style, and Jalen basically was like, "It's a good question. I don't know if I can answer that." And everybody's making a big deal about it. And I get it was a slow Philly sports week. The Phillies had 2 days off as they were traveling out to London, so there wasn't really much to talk about. But I feel this is the media, once again, making it into a much bigger story than what it is. And I mean, what do you want? Jalen he's consistent, if nothing else. If you think back to when Donovan was here, we used to always bitch about Donovan's answers in press conference and how he just would say whatever the canned standard response, whatever was. And I think Jalen's just that. Jalen doesn't give you anything. It doesn't show emotion one way or the other. And I think this was no different. Could he have answered it better and gave Sirianni more of a vote of confidence? Maybe. But I don't think this is a big deal or as big of a deal as everybody's making it out to be. Even I was listening to some of the midday show. They had Jeremiah Trotter on, and they asked him about it, and he was like, I didn't take that at all. And that's coming from a former player. So I think it may have been just a case of them looking for something to fill the void. But I do want to ask you, that's today's question of the day. Are you concerned about the relationship between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? Let me know what you're thinking. Are you concerned? No concern at all? Is it the media just making it up? That's really where I lead. I think everybody has such a sour taste in their mouth from the way last season ended. And I really don't know if that, I think, just, like I said, snowballed. I don't think there's anything to worry about the relationship between Sirianni and Hurts, but let me know what your thoughts are. 267-495-8531. Text, leave a voicemail, follow me on social media, and hit up the question of the day there. Are you concerned about the relationship with Jalen and Nick Sirianni? I just think you're never going to get anything out of Jalen Hurts. That's just the way he is. And I think at this point, this is year 4, I believe, you just got to, okay, like that's just who he is. He's not going to give you anything. Stop making stories, because if the media in Philly didn't have the reputation they do, maybe I would be like, yeah, there's some concern there. But they made up a whole story about A.J. Brown. And I just think you're reaching here, guys. You're reaching. But let me know what you think. Is there cause for concern between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. And again, I don't want to rip the media because at some point, my goal and my plan is to somehow be a part of them. But come on, guys. I get it. You're really trying to get listens and get people, but there's nothing to be concerned about. I'm not concerned. I think if Jalen was one of those guys that came out and just was bubbly, like if he was Brandon Graham and he gave that kind of answer, maybe, but Jalen's going to give you nothing. But let me know your thoughts. That is today's question of the day. The NFL did come out and say that there is no need to worry about gang activity and fear of wearing green while in Brazil for the Packers-Eagles game. It goes back to that informal ban in the stadium because of the team that plays there's rival is green. It's like the equivalent of wearing an opposing team's jersey here. I don't think there's any cause for concern. We'll see, though. It's definitely an interesting story, though, the way it broke. All right, today we're going to go back to 1989. And on this day of 1989, the Phillies beat the Pirates 15-11. The Pirates jumped out to a 10-0 lead in the top of the first inning. Larry McWilliams for the Phillies, remember him? I don't either. Went a third of an inning, gave up 6 runs on 4 hits, but from there, the bullpen held down the fort, only giving up 1 run the rest of the game. Phillies chipped away before scoring 5 in the bottom of the 8th for the win. Von Hayes hit 2 home runs and had 4 RBI. Unlikely hero of the day was Steve Jeltz. Yes, Steve Jeltz hit 2 home runs and had 5 RBI. Now, Steve Jeltz, just in general, the fact that he was the hero of the game, that's one thing. Steve Jeltz only had 5 career home runs, so he hit 2 of his 5 career home runs in this game. But the big story was Pirates radio announcer Jim Rooker said after that 10-run first inning, if we lose this game, I'll walk back to Pittsburgh. Well, we all know how that worked out. Oops. But he did make good on his promise. He did not walk home after the game. But that offseason, he did travel the 320 miles between the Vet and Three Rivers Stadium, used it to raise some money for charity. It took him from October 5th, about 12 days, till October 17th. So good for Rooker for making good on his promise. But just goes to show, watch what you say because you never know what's going to happen. But on this day, back in 1989, the Phillies beat the Pirates 15-11. After immediately falling down 10-0 in the first inning, they chipped away. Jim Rooker, radio announcer, made a rookie mistake saying, if we blow this game, I'm going to walk back to Pittsburgh. Sure enough, Pirates lost the game, and Rooker did, in that offseason, did walk from the Vet to Three Rivers Stadium. So good for him for following and staying true to his word and using it as a way to raise money for charity. All right, finally today, we're going to take a trip down Phillies Memory Lane and spotlight Greg Gross, who was an outfielder for the Phillies. I didn't realize this. He's a York, PA native, and in 1970, he was a 4th-round pick of the Astros. He was traded from the Cubs with Manny Trio to the Phillies. So that trade right there in 1970 or before the 1979 season had major implications for that 1980 Phillies team because Trio was the hero in the NLCS, and Greg Gross never got regular playing time all that often. Did have a solid .279 batting average with the Phillies. Not really known for his power. He only had 7 career home runs, 1 of them in Philly. But Greg Gross, I remember growing up, and he was known for being such a clutch pinch hitter, specifically in that 1980 championship run. He is the Phillies' career leader in pinch hits with 117. He is 5th in Major League Baseball all-time with 143. After his playing career, coach had 2 stints coaching for the Phillies. I believe one of them he was their hitting coach, but from 2001 to 2004, and then again in 2010 to 2012. now lives in Westchester with his wife. But Greg Gross is today's Phillies Memory Lane spotlight, the ultimate pinch hitter. Not known for his power, but he would get a hit coming off the bench and played a huge role in that 1980 Phillies championship run, which, again, I didn't know he was traded with Manny Trio. So that trade actually really was a solid trade for the Phillies that ultimately helped them win the championship. Everybody talks about Pete Rose, but Manny Trio was a huge part of that Phillies championship run, and he was traded with today's Phillies Memory Lane spotlight, Greg Gross, who is the ultimate Phillies pinch hitter. On this day in 1989, Phils beat the Pirates 15-11 after falling down 10-0 in the top of the first. Radio broadcaster for the Pirates, Jim Rooker, said, "If we lose this game, I will walk home." The Pirates lost the game. Rooker did make good on his promise and walked from the Vet to Three Rivers Stadium, raising money for charity. Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are on this Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts thing. Is there cause for concern? I'm not worried about it. It's not even raising my radar. But let me know what you think. Am I underselling it? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Phillies and Mets from London this afternoon. Looking forward to it and seeing what the field looks like. But go enjoy this day. It is absolutely beautiful out there. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for June 8th, 2024. I'm Jim Montgomery. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.